Hey, this is Justin. It is January 9th, 2024. This is a walk and talk, getting at some of the ideas that are rattling around inside the head, outside the head, to a way where we can actually make them useful. This is the starting of the morning routine. Decided to get up this morning and reverse things a little bit and lift weights first thing in the morning, which was nice. Woke up at about 5:30. Naturally to get started. So got to get the family up at about 6:30. So figured just do a little bit of a walk and talk in the morning before heading in and doing the morning routine. So goal and objective from these walk and talks is to be able to replace a lot of what we actually do during work with the walk and talk. So what do? I have a transcript running in the background for the whole conversation, and then I'm dictating sort of the workflow of what we're actually doing. So did a little bit of a workout this morning to get things started. Then number two, started doing live stream, getting some steps in. Steps is the big basis for a lot of the workouts. I have a goal for 13,500 steps every single day. Then I'll start getting into my check-ins with the coaches, check-ins, and then we'll start moving into conversations with other people, moving things forward. So light touch, talking about sort of sharing work, talking about what we're starting, what we're working on and what's thinking about, and then getting into conversations with people around specific goals. And the whole name of the game is to get to a place where we can create everything more hands-free. Messed around a lot yesterday with ChatGPT and just asking questions that are on the surface are absurd, but then when we get answers back that actually make sense or practical. And one of the questions I was asking is like, how can I create a PhD, or how can I get a PhD 100% through just walking and talking, not touching a keyboard, just audio, audio messages, and sort of walk through some of the universities that are open to alternate ways to be able to get a PhD, talking about some of the strategies, being able to defend a thesis orally as opposed to written, doing a lot of research orally as opposed to written. So it's the whole name of the game is how do we get people away from sitting down in front of a computer, which is causing health issues and is also getting in the way of basic creativity. And so how do we test the boundaries of how work can actually be done? And my thesis is the best way to really, speech is the best way to be able to consume, and that's the challenge, right? If you have to have a conversation with somebody is powerful, but that requires the person to actually be there. And so when we're talking about personal relationships, that's important, right? I sat down, some, friends and family over the weekend and do that stuff. That personal relationship stuff is important. But from a work perspective, it's not necessarily as important to be in the same place at the same time. What's important is we have the room for being able to be able to create, to be able to put our heads down and create and have impact to work. And I think having that ability to have that focus time to be able to work is also something that one makes people happier, makes people more connected, and just creates more productivity. But a lot of work gets done in live synchronous ways. So how do we one start doing more asynchronous type work, and then number two is how do we do that in a way that makes things work for us a little bit more? And I like one of my favorite tools that looks like it's starting to creep into my company is Loop, because Loop makes it possible for people to be able to create in the place where they want to have a translate, and then allowing people to consume and do updates in the place where they want, the venue or the avenue, or the venue is like email or Teams chats or updating inside of a document. So then this is how I want to create. This is how I feel most creative. This is how I feel most effective. This is the time of the day where my brain works the best. So this is how I want to be able to create, but it's not necessarily, it's 6 o'clock in the morning here in New York. There are 0 people who are listening as this is actually being done live. Some of the stuff might be interesting for other people. Some of the stuff might not be interesting for other people. So how do I create something that is people can start to consume it on their own term and then interact with it on their own terms, and then we start creating, feedback loops and feedback and ways to start to be able to start to intersect. So super excited about kind of the new way of being able to play with this more, being able to have additional breakthroughs. And I think anybody, if you're into the walking and talking space, and you have the upgraded ChatGPT, use some of the voice functionality. I just ask it questions about some of my specific goals and some of the stuff that I'm actually working on. It's starting to have a little bit of a memory, so it's starting to be able to kind of train itself on the things that I'm paying attention to. We can start to put other docs into these conversations, and we can start to really start to create meaningful interactions and meaningful outputs that can be recognized as human beings as like valued work. So I'm super excited about that, and I think it's just a matter of continuing to practice and continuing to put in repetitions every single day. So I'm going to put an end to that one right here. If you are seeing this, please feel free to interact in whichever way is meaningful for you, and thanks a lot for anybody who is checking this out. Have an amazing day.